गतकलियुगाब्ध 5111th year, Shri Virodhinama Samvatsara, Magha Masa, Krishna Paksha, Ashtami, Vishakha Nakshatra, Shanivasara, the 6th day of February 2010, Saturday. Welcome you all for this Maitri Milan session. I thought today I will dwell upon one of the shlokas from Raja Yoga, which is an important shloka. Let us try to understand that. It is the 5th shloka in the series of Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. This is the shloka. In one shloka, he talks about various aspects of Annamaya Kosha level, so that how we can adapt in the day-to-day life. Let me talk about that a few sentences. Consciousness is free. There are two important qualities that consciousness is recognized by. One is the freedom and the other is the feeling. The consciousness is something which can feel. The consciousness is something which has the freedom. Normally, the world thinks about the economic freedom, political freedom, geographical freedom, all these freedoms that they have thought of. But the Indian philosophy thought about the freedom of this consciousness from the clutches of the body. That means to say, we are a continuum from the consciousness at the subtle level to the body at the gross level. We need to have this gross level body. We need to feed the body. We need to give the rest to the body. These are all important. But then don't get caught up in the body. If you get caught up in the body, then you slowly forget that you are the consciousness, but you identify yourself to be the body all the time. A child is somebody who does not have that fixation at the body level. Child comes to the body level only when it is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, the child is always happy. He is connected himself always with the Anandamaya Kosha. In fact, the mothers say that, look, my child is normally, he is very happy. He doesn't have any body consciousness. He is just happily playing. Only when he is hungry, he will come to me. But now he is sick, so that he is constantly nagging me. He is at the body level. In fact, long time back, when our cook, Babu, his son was very small. He was like an 8-year-old fellow. And all these children were playing in the afternoon. Afternoon, having food, everybody was resting. But I was just walking around and I saw these kids playing. And I saw this little fellow, very energetic, and somebody playing with him. And I was curious, waiting there to see that how long he will continue to play without noticing about his injury. And then for about 15 minutes he was playing. But his mother came out, and the mother saw his child, particularly blood coming out of the knee, a little small little blood, and immediately you can see the mother saying that, oh my God, you are hurt. Stop. And this fellow doesn't stop. Mother cannot catch him. And he was running. And the mother, in 2 minutes, she ran behind him and finally caught hold of him, showed him his knee, saying that, look, you are injured. There is blood coming up. The moment he saw that, then he started crying, I can't walk, lift me up. See, when the injury is there, sickness is there, that's what brings you to the body level. The body level, at that point of time, till that time the consciousness was free. But suddenly, when we are brought to the body level, then it feels curtailed, caught up. In fact, that's what we see. You do not know about the body, you are not conscious of the body, unless until you have a suffering or pain at the body level. Like for example, you do all kinds of activities, but you never know that you have a waist or you have a back. Suddenly when you have a back pain, somebody somewhere like spondylosis, something like that, then you recognize that every small little moment you need to be very careful, you become aware of your body. Similarly, you don't think of your head at all unless until you have a headache. Then you realize that you have a head. That is why when people come to me and tell me that they have a headache, I congratulate them saying that at least that's an indication that you have a head. I never get headache. So, the pain, suffering is the way that you come to the body level. And not only that this pain and suffering, but various lifestyle itself can bring you to the body level, catch you at the body level. That is what Krishna says. Specification about what ahara, how much you have to take, how many puris you take. He doesn't say all those things. He says, yukta ahara, that you take, that quantity of food that you take, that type of food that you take, so that it gives you freedom from the body level. Because ahara is that which is required for annamaya kosha. And yukta ahara, that means yukta food, is the right kind of food is that which does not catch you hold at ransom at the annamaya kosha level. Annam brahmeti vyajana tarnatyeva kalumari bhutani jayante. The whole body is made out of anna. And this body that we have, the physical personality, is that which is the part of the food cycle that is there in the creation. The creation development, wherever there is a decay, it's all within the cycle of the food. In fact, this is something which is very important that we need to understand. I will talk about the food later on, but let me go further ahead saying that yukta vihara, even your relaxation, your recreation, your feeling expansiveness also has to be done in such a way that it should be yukta. That means it is suitable to see that it refreshes you, replenishes you, you come out of it. Sleep is something which is very important. Don't deny that. That is what yukta vihara. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu. The activities that we do also is such a way that it gives you freedom from the body level. Your consciousness gets back to its natural state. That is what is a kind of an activity that you do. An activity which binds you, an activity that you are at the body level, an activity that creates a problem to you, is not the kind of yukta karma. But then the question is that why should I do karma? And that's where Krishna, in another case, he says that the creation itself is nothing but karma. The nature of the creation itself is karma. Action is something which is there everywhere going on. Only is that you might only switch from one activity to the other activity to the third activity. But the right kind of an activity is that which gives you freedom from attachment at the body level. Yukta ahara vyarasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya. Even the dream, the wakeful state, all these things are necessary to see that how you get the freedom. Your consciousness becomes one with the consciousness, with the Anandamaya Kosha, and not at the Annamaya Kosha. Yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. It's such a beautiful way that Krishna brings out the whole conclusion of that particular sutra, where he says, this way that yoga is supposed to help you, bhavati dukkha. That means it gives you freedom from the misery. Misery is our attachment. The misery is that we get locked up. Give up our freedom. And nobody else can give up your freedom, but you only give up your. So if you have to make a journey towards freedom, it is up to you. You can make that journey towards freedom. And in fact, in this particular sutra, by saying these things, Krishna covered the whole of your life's activity. Whether you live for 40 years, 50 years, 80 years, 100 years, or even more than 100 years. What is that all this life which Krishna mentioned so beautifully in one simple sutra? Then when you look into the depth of these various aspects of it, whether it is ahara or vihara, and then you take the karma, or whether you take the Swapna Avabodha. You don't have that time of luxury of going into every detail of it. But then Krishna means a lot of things in this particular sutra. But let me today spend my time in understanding about this ahara aspect of it, which is a very important aspect. Ahara has several components. One thing that we need to understand is that ahara belongs to this food, and this whole creation is a food cycle. That means to say that one food item becomes the food for something else, but that item itself becomes food for something else, and that becomes food for something else. It continues like that. Like the way that the plants are the food, animals eat, animal can be food for some other animals, and then those animals, whatever they have, the bacteria will eat them, and then when they die, the various other bacteria decompose them. What is the decomposing? It is once again eating. And then this continuous cycle continues. And then from the earth, where it is decomposed bacteria, all that is there, once again the plants come. That means to say it's again the cycle starts. So this is something like a food cycle. That means to say wherever there is life, only can sustain the life. Life can only sustain the life. With this argument, a lot of people, mind can be clarified saying that when people suggest that you eat vegetarian, don't eat non-vegetarian food, because that non-vegetarian has life, then people immediately ask the question that even the plants have life. So you are killing the plants, that means you are taking away the life also in the name of vegetarian. So that Krishna wants to make apparent, and when he tasted food, which means essentially that how much of research must have gone. So that's why a person who is vegetarian doesn't have to feel bad. When people tell me, when I go in my travel various other places, they say, oh, you don't eat non-vegetarian? You eat vegetarian? I said, yeah, I eat only vegetarian. They feel I'm a poor fellow. I say that, look, vegetarian, don't be in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. See, don't feel bad about it. Another important consideration about being vegetarian is the sun's energy that is stored on this earth is only one thing, that is the chlorophyll in the plants. That is the only source of the energy that sun's energy is there. Look at the whole thing. Otherwise, the only thing is that an object becomes hot when the sun is there, the sun is gone, it becomes the primary source of sun's energy. And then the plants are eaten by the insects, by the birds, by the animals and all that, and then they become food. As I said, that this energy is stored in the form of food in the case of animals. So when we become vegetarian, that means to say we are directly going to the first source of sun's energy. As a result of it, you can see that a vegetarian food or the vegetarian food items are the ones which are simple cell structure, whereas the non-vegetarian items are complex cell structure. That means to say the amount of energy that you spend to consume this food by your own body to digest that food is very less. That means to say you are spending less of you on the Annamaya Kosha to digest the food and bring the energy out of it. So that is why you are not at the body level for a long time. You can see that. A non-vegetarian, when you cook it at the pressure cooker, they put you on a longer time range compared to vegetarian food. That means to say, it is easily digestible, particularly within our stomach. And that's what happens. When I take the food, in no time I can digest the food and my energy is ready for my activity. I don't have to be at the body level. I can rise above the body level. Third important consideration is the respect to the nature outside. There is a very beautiful sutra that is there in the Bhagavad Gita and several other places where he says, the Upanishad says that what minimum that you require, you take it. What is more than that you have it more than what you require is something which is a waste, which is you are abusing the nature. This is what is Patanjali's Sutra also says, that aparigraha, that means what is really required for you, you take it. What is more than your requirement, don't use it. Sadhvi Ritambara, one of the great saints of India today, she said in a very beautiful way, she says, what is that which you can use, you are a master of it. And what more than what you can use if you have it, you are a watchman for that, you are a chowkidar. That means to say, who made you a watchman? You yourself. If you have a small little house where you can live comfortably and every part of it is useful, that means you are a master of that. But if you have a huge house, and then unfortunately if you do not also have somebody to clean the house, then you convert yourself to be a cleaning woman. Since who made you? It is you yourself who made that. In the same way that when you come to the food, if you become a vegetarian, the statistics show that a vegetarian uses about something like 1.5 acres of land. For a lifetime he can survive, he can feed himself on 1.5 acres of land. But whereas if you become a non-vegetarian, then you have to feed your cow or cattle or the birds and all that, and then they have to grow, they have to give birth to next generation, and then you eat them. All that requires almost like 15 acres of land. That means to say, you can live with 1/10 of the earth, and then you can, the resources that you use. So from that angle, that by being vegetarian, that means to say, I am not becoming a tax on this universe, on this world. How wonderful thought it is. And the last consideration about the vegetarianism is that about the consciousness. As I said, that human being, all this what we are trying to do, all this we are learning that we are trying to do, is to respect for this consciousness. As I said, consciousness is the important thing whose quality is this freedom. And when you look at the freedom in this creation, the solids are having the least freedom. And then when you come to the liquids, liquids have 1 degree of explosion of freedom in the liquids, that the solids, they do not change their shape, whereas the liquids take the shape in whatever container you put it. But the liquids do not have the freedom of volume. The moment that liquids change the shape into gases, it's an explosion of freedom, and that is, the gases can take any volume. You can mix the gas in a small little volume of 1 cc, and the same thing you can expand, you can change the pressure and put it in 1 cubic meter. So this way, that gases can occupy different volume. And you can see that higher the degree of freedom, the greater the utility of it. The solids, unless until you make them into liquids, you cannot use them. The liquids, you cannot make them into gases, then you can have a greater utility for that. But then from the one thing at the gaseous level, they don't have the freedom of self-growth, self-development. By themselves, they cannot grow. Whereas at the level of plants, they grow. That's what is a great explosion of freedom. And when once this particular freedom of self-growth occurs, that is when we say that entry of life. At that stage of consciousness, we say that it is the entry of life. Plants grow. You have a plant with 2 leaves, you keep putting water, manure, sunlight and all that, the plant will have 4 leaves tomorrow. And tomorrow it has 4 branches. So like that, it grows, and then it can give rise to another plant. No gas can give rise to another similar species. The animals, the plants can give. So that's what is the growth. The plant's level is a wonderful level of growth of manifestation, consciousness. But from the plants, when you come to the animals, another big explosion of freedom, and that's what is the manifested consciousness. The plants do not have locomotion. Plants do not move from one place to another place, whereas animals can move. Birds can move. You can see there are birds which move from the equator all the way up to the polar and then come back in a span of few months or few days. Such a wonderful movement that is there in the case of animals and birds and all those things. The fish also move like that. They come to the equatorial region during this winter and they go all the way to the polar regions the moment it is winter. So it is summer. So like this there is a locomotion in the case of animals and all that. That's the high degree of freedom. And after the animals and birds and all that, the next degree of freedom is the human being. And that's what is the freedom of organization. Human being has that freedom. And in this God's creation, there is nothing which has got the higher degree of freedom. There is one more important aspect that is there. That is The moment that you are given a freedom, the freedom always comes with feeling, and the consciousness always comes with the feeling and freedom. But together with that, one more thing that comes up is the responsibility. Like the way that we have a freedom, we are manifested consciousness, we have a responsibility to protect, to take care of the things which have lesser degree of freedom. Like the stable cannot understand itself, cannot survive for itself. So it is for me the responsibility to take care of the stable. The same way a plant cannot move from place to place. But it is human responsibility to see that you have to move the plant whenever it is necessary to move. Like in Western countries where there is possibility that sometimes there are snow, people take this plant inside the house. They put that in the glass houses so that they can survive. That means you have a responsibility to take care of it. So in that way, Indian philosophy always said that you have a responsibility to take care of animals, because animals have lesser degree of freedom, you have a greater degree of freedom. Look at the way today, we did not recognize this nature of ours, this important, we were ignorant of importance of this particular thing. That's why we have eliminated so many species, and we have to start thinking about this revolution to see that how you can protect the nature. And this is what is the spiritual consideration. So from all these angles, when you look at the human being, is naturally he is taking the vegetarian, becoming from all these considerations. People who are in the dark, in the hill regions, those days also at the time of Upanishads, at the time of Vedas, people who are living in Himalaya, almost 6-7 months, they don't have anything vegetarian growing there. So that's why there are incidences, there are reports that they eat meat. It does not mean that people in the plains were eating meat. It is people who are in the hill regions they were eating. So that is how, when he says Yukta Ahara, that means consider yourself what you are, where you are, what is the need for you, and how you need to take consideration of the whole nature itself, and then you take your food. This is one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is the quantity of food. Even that quantity or the quality of food is something which should not bind you, which has to give you that freedom. That is why yogo bhavati dukkhaha. A yoga way of eating is that kind of eating where both quality and quantity is such a way that it gives you freedom. It does not put you into suffering. So that it does not attach you at the body level, it gives you freedom. Like this, what is then sattvic, rajasic and tamasic food? You can understand from this angle, sattvic, tamasic food is that food which will bind you at the body level by its heaviness, by its forgetting about your consciousness, you become mass, like gravitated. That's what is tamasic. Drinks are something, you stops your thinking, stops your faculties and all that, brings you to the body level, you lose your awareness. That's why drinks is bad according to the yogic philosophy. Similarly, you take the tamasic food, is that heavy food that you take which makes you slumber, which make you feel gravitated. That's all tamasic food. And then rajasic food is that kind of food which gives you agitations in the body in such a way that that agitation will catch you, hold at ransom at the body level. That becomes like dukkha. You try to take as more spicy food, you see that what happens to you. It makes you rajasic. That means to say, the spices, even after you finish your eating, for the next 3, 4, 5 hours, it bothers you at the body level. It catches you at the body level. That's a simple reason. What food which gravitates in you is a tamasic food. What food which makes you irritable, agitated, disturbed at the body level is a rajasic food. Sattvic food is that food. After you eat, you can forget about it, you can leave it alone and then go ahead. When we understand this way, then it makes it very clear. Because different regions have developed different eating habits. In the hot regions like in Andhra Pradesh, people eat hot food because there are certain reasons why that hot food is developed in the hot regions. You go to the Mexico, people eat hot food. You go to Africa, people eat hot food. That means to say all these tropical areas, hot areas, they take hot food. You know the reason for that? The hot food helps you to take, that means spicy food helps you to take more salt. Body needs more salt. In fact, when you take spicy food, it will also help you to take a lot of water. In the hot regions, you need a lot of water in your body, so that in the form of sweat, in the form of cleaning, all those things happen. Another important thing is when you take the spicy food, you see, peristaltic action becomes much better, much faster. In fact, you cannot afford to keep the food in your stomach for long in the case of hot climate. So that's how these things are developed. Whereas in the cold climates, cold areas, people do not eat hot food because that's what is bad for them. So some people who have grown in the hot area, they take spicy food, and that is what is sattvic for them. Whereas that same food will be spicy for the hill regions. Don't generalize saying that this food is sattvic, this food is rajasic, this food is tamasic. It depends upon which region you come from. A lot of times people come here, and then the foreigners who come from Scandinavian countries, they say, wow, you say this is yogic food, it is so hard. Whereas the same person next to him, somebody who comes from Guntur or Vijayawada says, what is this food? There is no pickles around here. See, that is what we have to understand, that how we respond to the food outside, that's what makes it. Something may be a very good sattvic food, but then if you eat so much of quantity that it makes you slumber, that makes you sleep all the time, that's what is not yukta. It's again tamasic quantity. Whereas the quantity that you take little, so that you can free yourself from, however wonderful it may be, however sattvic it may be, if you take the right kind of quantity, then it becomes sattvic. Otherwise it can become rajasic, tamasic. Lot of times people think that this eating food is an attachment. They would like to see that, no, I would eat less. Less eating is something which is yogic. So they eat so less that when they sit for Om meditation and then close their eyes, instructor says, imagine the beautiful picture of Om. You can only imagine an idli there or a puri there. Why? Because that you are starving yourself. Don't do that. Yukta ahara means neither too less nor too low nor too high. It is something which is balanced. Yoga is always something which is a proper, intelligent, wise balance that we create. That's what his idea Krishna says. Samatvam yoga uchyate. In every activity that you do, if you can bring about the samatva, that's what is yoga. Not only about the quantity, quality, or the vegetarian, non-vegetarian. One more consideration that is there is, what is the mental state when you are eating food? This is something which is very, very important. Keep yourself free, keep yourself pleasant, so that your whole system assimilates the food. Food is not just only going to the stomach. Please understand, food is what you see, food is what you touch. The aroma of the food. All these things have lot to do with your glandular system, with your various taste buds and all that. There are certain spices, when you mix them, the spices will release the aroma, and that aroma starts preparing yourself. You know what? The food is something that you give to this body. How much are you preparing this body to take that food? There are certain types of food which has to be warm, certain types of food which has to be cold, and all these things to be there. Certain colors have to be there for the food so that it looks pleasant. You go to Japan and see the way that they serve the food. It's so beautiful. It looks so nice. They take so much care to see that how it looks. That means to say food is something that you respect. Annam Brahma. If you can do that, you can enjoy every bit of it. I don't have much time to go into the other details. Let me stop here. Thank you.